my name's Liz, I'm the baker that sews. Welcome to my channel if you're new, and welcome back if you are a subscriber. As always, it's really lovely to have you here as I share my sewing journey. So welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be one of my Sunday sewing catch-ups, and we're on episode 42. As usual, I've got lots of different things to talk to you about, including a couple of things that I've been busy sewing. I've got a pattern, I've got 2 pieces of fabric that I've been buying, and a couple of other bits and bobs. Before I dive into all of that, I'll let you know what I'm wearing, and I am wearing a hack of the Tilly and the Buttons Alexa jumpsuit. So I wore that yesterday because it was market day. Super comfortable, and it's a jumpsuit that's buttoned down, and then it's got like this channel that comes across the tummy area that you insert like a tie, and then you fasten it at the front. So what I did with that pattern is I hacked it, so I just used the top part of the Alexa jumpsuit. So with this hack, I just used the bodice part of the Alexa jumpsuit and included the waist channel, because you attach the waist channel over the top of the jumpsuit, and then I've just added a sort of gathered skirt with a ruffle on the bottom, so it's kind of like midi length. It just stops sort of mid-calf. I'll put pictures in of me wearing it, but it's got buttons down the front. This fabric, if I remember correctly, I got from First for Fabrics. It's lovely and drapey, and then yeah, you can see the waist channel here, and then I've just got the tie at the front, and then it's a really floaty, flowy dress. And then on the bottom, I've got that lovely ruffle. It's a really comfortable dress to wear, quite loose fitting, which is great. It's quite warm today, so that's what I'm wearing. As usual, I'll pop any links that I refer to in the description. So if that's fabric or patterns or companies that I talk about or people, I'll make sure that I've linked it down below for you. I think both of the fabrics are still in stock that I'm going to be sharing with you today, so I'll be able to link them down below. So what have I been sewing this week? I've been sewing 2 things. One is quite an intense make, and something that I wasn't planning to sew up, but I've really enjoyed sewing it up over the last couple of days, inspired by the sewing bee. I'll talk about that second. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was my, again, inspired by the sewing bee actually, sort of a sportswear, although I'm not going to use it for sports, but I'm going to wear it for lounging around. But sportswear themed, inspired sort of jumper and joggers set. And I did talk about this last weekend, and I used 2 closet core patterns. So I've shared these patterns before, but I've bought them from Satisfaction when they had a pattern sale on. Got the Mile End hoodie and jumper, and then the plateau joggers and shorts, and I really want to make some of the shorts. I think they'll be a really cute addition to my summer wardrobe, especially thinking about going away when I know that the weather is definitely going to be warm. So I wanted to sew up the version that's on the front here with that gather at the front, that little sort of tie, and it's a really interesting detail on the jumper. The jumper's got some really beautiful details to it. It's got yoke on the back, yoke on the back, and then the sleeve, it's going to be difficult to show you, but the sleeve's actually got some darts in. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. The fabric that I've used is a really busy fabric, so you can't actually pick up that detail a huge amount. But I really wanted to sew up this version that's got this tie detail at the front. It's a really lovely jumper. I really love the way that it sews up and it comes together, and there's lots of different variations that you can sew up with this pattern as well. So you can sew up a view A, which is a crew neck sweatshirt, view B, which is a sweatshirt with a gathered band, and then view C is a hooded sweatshirt. And I really want to have a go at sewing this one up as well. I think that just looks super comfortable. And the paper pattern that I've got comes in sizes 0 to 20, and I sewed up a 6, which is a 34-inch bust measurement, 27-inch waist measurement, and 36-inch hip measurement, and it fits me really nicely. I've got room to move around in it. For a size 0, it's a 31-inch bust, 24-inch waist, and 33-inch hip. And then for a 20, it's a 46-inch bust, 39-inch waist, and a 48-inch hip measurement. In terms of fabrics, they recommend thicker knit fabrics like a cotton fleece, polar fleece, French terry, ponte, and double knits. But I actually went with a cotton jersey, and it worked perfectly. It still fits me really nicely, and it's really comfortable to wear. So if I grab, yeah, this is my jumper. So I use this amazing sort of, I want to say like geometric print fabric. I think Semi Sunshine, I've just got some more of this in. If they have, I'll link it down below, but I got it from Semi Sunshine. It's on a black background, so it is a really busy fabric. If I hold it up, those are, you can just about make out the darts on the sleeves, which are really cute. And then the front detail is what I absolutely love. So you create sort of a little channel on the front, again, because this fabric is so busy, it's going to be really tricky to show you. But you create like a little channel, and then this is just a piece of sort of fabric that you stitch and close, and then you tie knots on the end, so it holds this in place and creates this beautiful gathering. It's a really lovely feature on a jumper, really, really cute. And then on the back, again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, so I'm really sorry if you can't make out all of these features I'm talking about. I've chosen the busiest fabric ever, but it's got a yoke. I think you can just about make out that line going across, but it's got a yoke on the back as well. I really enjoyed sewing it up. And then I've chosen a cut one pair label to stick in the back that says heart eyes, which is really cute. You can see the yoke on the inside actually better. So I'm really pleased with the jumper. It's really comfortable to wear. And then I wanted some matching bottoms to go with it. So I used the Closet Core Plateau Joggers pattern, which is here. And again, this comes in the same sizes 0 to 20 because it's a paper pattern. So for a 0, it's a 31-inch bust, 24-inch waist, 33-inch hip. And then for a 20, it's a 46-inch bust, 39-inch waist and a 48-inch hip measurement. They recommend thicker knit fabrics like a cotton fleece, polar fleece, French terry, ponte and double knit for this as well. But I used the same fabric, which is a cotton jersey. Didn't have too much drape, the cotton jersey, so it works really nicely for the joggers as well. And then I chose to go for View A, which is the pants. And I didn't put the elastic on the bottom. I just went with the plain cuff for the bottom as well, because I knew that I was going to wear them at home. I probably won't wear this set out of the house. I'll wear the jumper out of the house, but I don't think I'd wear the joggers out of the house. I just wanted something comfortable that I could throw on when I get home from work. So I had a bit of an issue with this pattern, and I think it was completely my fault. But if you want to attach back pockets, there's an option for patch pockets on the back. You attach them before you construct the trousers, because it makes it a lot easier for you when you're like top stitching the trousers and when you're top stitching the pockets in place. And when I did that and then constructed the trousers, tried them on, and the pockets were so low on my bottom, they were below my bottom. So I don't know what I did there, but I must have marked them incorrectly. And so then I had to unpick them, and then I got my husband with my sort of like chalk marking pen to have a go at drawing where he thought the patch pockets should go on my bottom, and then I took them off and reattached them, and they sit in the right place now. You can't see them because it's so busy, this fabric, but there are a couple of pockets on the back there. There was an option to put like a drawstring on the waistband. I think you can see it just there. And you can do the same on the shorts. Because I knew that I wasn't going to wear these for like sportswear and joggers out of the house, I didn't opt for that. I didn't have the correct sort of drawstring, and I just wanted to get them finished, if I'm honest. But I don't think I missed the fact that there's no drawstring on the front. I did want them to be more of a sort of loungewear type pair of trousers to wear. So I've got an elasticated waistband, and they're quite a narrow fit. And then I just went for the fabric cuff on the bottom as well. So I'm really pleased with the trousers and the jumper. They go really nicely together. They're really comfortable to wear and perfect for when I get home from a busy day at work. The fabric is absolutely gorgeous. It feels really lovely and soft against my skin as well, because it's a cotton jersey and really comfortable to wear. So I definitely recommend both of these patterns. I've got plans to sew up these, definitely, ready for the summer, but I've definitely got plans to sew up a few more of these just to wear at home, or I might make a pair that I can wear to school as well when I've got my PE day. And the jumper, I definitely want to have a go at sewing up this hooded version. So really great patterns. I would definitely recommend them both. And then the other thing that I've been sewing up, I've been feeling really inspired by the Sewing Bee. I'm absolutely loving this sort of series. I think all of the sewists are incredible. And the latest episode was all about reduce, reuse, recycle. And one of the challenges was to make a patchwork jacket. And I've done a patchwork jacket before. I made an Ilford jacket inspired by the rainbow fish. Where I used a big piece of interfacing. I laid out loads of like random offcuts. Some were tiny, some were bigger, and I sort of used my iron to press them onto the interfacing, and then I quilted them with some wadding in between, and then some gingham, and then I appliqued some shiny sort of sequiny fabric that I had as scraps on top of it to make a rainbow fish style jacket. I might grab it actually so you can see what it looks like. So this was my rainbow fish inspired jacket, and they're all just pieces of scrap fabric which I've trimmed, or some of them I kept them the same size, and then I stuck them onto the interfacing by ironing them on. Took absolutely ages, meters and meters of me laying out all these scraps. I love that they're all different sizes. You'll see that there are some sort of little frays and things, but then I quilted on top of it using really narrow, you can just make out there, really narrow quilting lines to hold all the pieces in place and to stop the fraying from becoming an issue. I really love that sort of organic look that you get from some of the different little bits of fraying that you get from some of the pieces of fabric. I don't know if you can see that I've got a few bits of fraying there, but nothing where it's going to mean that the fabric unravels. And then what I decided to do, because I wanted to use it for the rainbow fish story that we use at school, where we talk about you know, friendships, and we use that as a talking point for respecting each other's boundaries and things as well. Anyway, so I appliqued some sequins on top of the coat as well, and then I wore this to school, and I had in my pockets all of the, I've got a few left actually, I had some scraps of the sequin fabric, and I gave them out to my class. They absolutely loved it. My rainbow puffer jacket that I sewed up as well, I'll put a picture in of what that looks like. We were learning the quest sound at school, and in particular looking at the word quilt, and lots of the children didn't really know what a quilt was, and you know, unless they were talking about the duvet cover that they've got on their bed, but they didn't really have any experience of quilting and what that actually means. So I brought this in to show them and explained the quilting process. Then I also took in my rainbow bomber jacket to talk through the quilting process with that as well. And I had some offcuts of that fabric. So I finished the edges because I was worried about the stuffing on the inside. I worried that children might pick it out. Finished the edges, and then I gave the fabric out to the children, and I gave this fabric out to the children as well, and they were really excited. I told them in the morning that I was going to give them their own rainbow fish shiny scale, and with their quilted fabric that was a different day, and I told them in the morning that I'd give them a piece of their own piece of the rainbow quilted fabric. And I thought that they'd forget by the afternoon, but they didn't. When we were lining up to go home, they all reminded me to give out the shiny scales, and they all reminded me to give out the quilted rainbow fabric as well. And their faces, they were so excited. So yeah, I've got a few bits left, but basically that's what I did with that one. And it was sort of a bit of an experiment, if I'm honest. Really happy with how it's turned out. If I pop it on, you'll be able to see it's a really boxy, sort of oversized jacket. I just absolutely love how just different it looks, and you see something completely different for every angle of the coat. So feeling inspired from the Sewing Bee, where they had 96 squares of fabric that they then had to transform into a quilted jacket, I dug out all of my cottons and cotton lawn fabrics. I had some linen fabric in there as well, and I made a template of a square that was 5 inches by 5 inches, and then I started cutting out all of the squares. Some of the pieces ended up slightly more rectangular. If I had some pieces that were slightly longer than my 5 by 5 square, then I decided to just trim any funny little bits of that and use the whole of that fabric. So I wanted to try and minimize the waste from making this jacket. So some of the pattern pieces did end up more rectangular in size, which has meant that not all of the squares when I was patchworking do match up, but I don't mind that. I know Patrick and Esme would have a thing to say about the fact that they don't all match up. But I just wanted to utilise as much of the scrap fabrics as possible. So some of the pieces of fabric that I ended up cutting out weren't exactly squares. I ended up with about 257, I think I counted altogether, squares or rectangular pieces of fabric that were cut out. And then what I decided to do was I then decided to sort them into colour palettes. So all the pinks and purples, oranges and yellows, blues and greens, whites, greys, and any other colours. And then I had fun sort of laying them out, very similar to the process that they followed on the Sewing Bee, but I laid them out, worked out how many squares going across and how many squares down I would need in order to use the pattern pieces that I wanted. Had lots of fun playing around with the squares and the layout and the design, and then I eventually started sort of patchworking them together. So I decided to do rows at a time, and then I stitched the rows together, and I did the front pieces first, then I did the back, and then I did the sleeves, and I tried to make them as symmetrical as I possibly could with the squares of fabric that I had, and you'll be able to see that when I share the jacket with you. Now, I did have some wadding that I got from Abakhan fabrics. They've got a whole range of wadding that you can use for quilting, but the wadding that I had was quite a thick wadding, and I knew that I wanted this to be more of a spring type, a jacket that I could wear in the springtime. So instead, I had a look through my stash, and I found some fabric that was, I don't know what sort of composition it is, but it feels a little bit like a crepe fabric, but it's a little bit more stable than a crepe. I'm really not quite sure what type of fabric it was, but I decided to use that fabric in between some gingham and the patchwork fabric that I'd created. So I'm going to go and grab the fabric that I used for the inside of the coat. I'll show you the squares that I cut out, and then I'll show you my actual almost finished Ilford jacket that's been used from lots of different scraps of like patchworking fabric. So I'll be back in a second. So I've got the fabric here that I used. I don't really know what type of fabric it is. I did have a search to see if I could find the description from where I bought it, but it's got sort of like a crepe texture, but it feels a little bit more substantial than a crepe. It's not really got much drape. It's thicker than a crepe, but it's not too thick, and that's exactly what I wanted between the gingham and my patchwork fabric. So I went with this in between, and actually it's given it quite a light feel to the jacket. And then these are all my cut out squares, so you'll see what size the squares were in lots and lots of different types of fabric. I just love how different it is. I used a lot of my fat quarters from So Hayley Jane boxes as well. And then I also, just because I love this fabric, I decided to put in some of the corduroy fabric as well that I got from the Fabric Revival. And I just love, I also had a little bit of this Liberty fabric left. And I used this fabric to make a shirt for my husband. So I wanted to make sure I incorporated that. So I had lots and lots of fun playing around with the layout of the squares, and then I've ended up with a jacket that looks like I'm going to have to stand up. Now, just to say it's not finished, I need to bind the neckline, I need to bind the front, and I need to bind the hem, and then I also need to bind the sleeves as well. So it's not finished, I've just overlocked the edges to prevent any more fraying happening. But this is what it looks like. I absolutely love it. So I don't know if you can see, but I've tried where possible to match on both sides so it's symmetrical. You'll be able to see, so I've got the same fabric here, going all the way down, and then on the front of the jacket I've done exactly the same pattern for both front pieces. So you can see there, it matches all the way down. And then the back is here, and I had lots of fun playing around with the back. So the front, I decided to go for like pinks, purples and oranges. And then on the back, I decided to go for like blues mainly. So there's lots of blues, but then there's a few random pinks in there. Because I also had this Liberty fabric that I wanted to make sure that I used. And then with the sleeves, if I pop it on, you'll be able to see. Hopefully you'll be able to see. But basically with the sleeves, you can see I've tried to match and make it exactly the same on each of the sleeves. I don't know if you can tell, it's going to be really tricky to show you, but basically I've tried to use the same design and layout on both sleeves so they match as well. It's really lightweight. I've just gone with a pink gingham fabric on the inside, and I did quite big patchworking. So I marked on I used the gingham actually to help me with stitching straight, but I marked intervals of 2.5 inches going across, and then going down I did the same intervals of 2.5 inches. It's really lightweight, which is exactly what I wanted for this jacket, and I just think it's really fun. I love the fact that it's got loads of different fabrics, and I know exactly what I used all these different fabrics for as well. Really makes me smile. So I'm really excited about getting it finished. I went for a slightly shorter length jacket this time around. So here is my sort of hip, my waist is up here. But yeah, I went for a slightly shorter length. I'm going to leave it open. I'm not going to have any buttons or anything on it because I will wear it open. But yeah, so far I'm really pleased with it, and it's been a really, really fun project that I've been sewing mainly this weekend. I think it probably took a couple of hours to patchwork all the pieces together. And then it took another couple of hours to quilt all of the fabric. without thinking about how long it took to cut out the pieces as well. I definitely spent a very long time. I think some of the Sewing Bee contestants did this too, but I spent a very long time laying out the pattern, the fabric pieces, the squares, to work out the layout and a finished design for the coat. But I think the colours all work really nicely. I love that front part with the pinks and the purples, and then that green sleeve which also goes into blue, which kind of matches on the back as well with those random bits of pink here, there and everywhere as well. So far I'm really pleased. I'm just waiting for some bias binding to arrive. Over on my Instagram I asked for suggestions on what colour bias binding, and I think because the lining is this pink gingham, I've ordered some pink gingham bias binding that I think I'm going to finish the neckline and the front and the hem of the coat, as well as the sleeves. I really love that I've managed to get some of that fruity cotton lawn as well on my coat. I think it goes really nicely. So yeah, really pleased with that. Unexpected make, wasn't expecting to start doing that at all. I just got really motivated from the Sewing Bee, and then I've still got loads of squares left. So I think what I'm going to do is patchwork those together and then try and make a patchwork skirt or a patchwork dress using the squares that I've got left over, because I think I've got about 100 and I think that coat's made of about 130 squares, so I've still got quite a few squares to play around with. So I'm going to try and patchwork those together as well and see what else I can make using my scrap fabrics. So on to some fabric that I've been buying. I've got two pieces to talk to you about. One of them is for my husband and then the other one is for me, and I had loads of people get in touch sharing this beautiful fabric from Sew Me Sunshine. So thank you to everybody that messaged me to tell me about this gorgeous fabric. I'm really pleased that I managed to get a couple of meters of it. It is a beautiful, I think it was a viscose crepe. It's a dead stock fabric and it is exactly my type of fabric. It's bright and colourful and it's got jungle animals all over it. I just absolutely love all of the colours and all of the animals all over this fabric. It's really drapey. It's got a gorgeous amount of movement to it. So beautiful. And every time you look at it, you see a completely different sort of animal hidden. I just think it's really, really fun. Hold it up so you can see. Look how much it moves. It's got a gorgeous amount of drape and movement. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to turn this into, but I feel like it needs to be some kind of dress for the summer. I just need to dig out all of my patterns and have a little think about what dress I would like to turn into. If you've got any suggestions for this beautiful fabric, please do let me know in the comments below. But I just fell in love with the colours. I love all that animal prints all over it as well, and the colours just really pop. I think it's such a stunning fabric. So that was from Sew Me Sunshine. And then again, I got lots of people messaging me about this, I think because of my love of big cats. But this is from the Fabric Revival. It's a beautiful lightweight cotton fabric. It's really lovely and lightweight and floaty, and my husband has claimed this. I'm going to turn it into a shirt for him, so I need to have a little think about which shirt pattern he would like me to use. I sewed him a couple of shirts last summer using I think it was a McCall's pattern. I can't remember the name of it. If I remember, I'll put a picture in of that pattern. But I've also sewn up a Sew Over It Hackney shirt for him. So I'm on the lookout for another men's shirt pattern that's short sleeves. So I might use one of the patterns that I've used already, or I might look for another men's shirt pattern. But I think this would be perfect for a lovely summer shirt for him, because it's such a lovely lightweight breezy fabric, and I just absolutely love the colour of it, and I love the print. I just think it's really fun and just really beautiful. It's kind of like a teal green background, and then I love the colour of the big cats against that teal background with the green sort of plants as well. I think it's a really beautiful fabric. So I'm really excited about sewing up a shirt for my husband as well. And then I've got a pattern to talk to you about. I got this when I ordered the Closet Core patterns, the plateau joggers and the Mile End sweatshirt, but I didn't talk about this when they arrived. To be honest, I forgot that I ordered this one as well, because it was mainly the joggers and the jumper that I really wanted to buy. It's by Deer and Doe and it's the Orcady dress, and it's also a top pattern. And I'm really excited about sewing this up. I think I'll need to do a toile because it looks quite close fitting here. So I'm going to toile the top part with that waistband before I actually have a go at making the dress. But I'm really excited about sewing this version. I think it's such a beautiful dress. I love the sleeves, I love the shape of the bodice here. I love the fact that it's got this waistband that brings it in, and then this really gorgeous skirt as well. It is described as a lined dress and blouse with deep V-neck, bridle buttons and statement sleeves. Version A is a midi dress with a zipper closure, and version B is a short blouse with a ruffled bottom. So that's a really cute blouse as well. I think it's really beautiful. And then the buttons go down into the waistband, which is here. So I'm looking forward to giving that a try. In terms of fabrics, they recommend Batiste, cotton voile, Swiss dots and eyelet. And they suggest that you allow extra fabric to match stripes or plaids. And the paper pattern comes in sizes 34 to 46. So for a 34, it's a 31.5 inch bust, 23.5 inch waist and a 33.75 inch hip measurement. And then for a 46, it's a 41 inch bust, 33 inch waist, 43.25 inch hip measurement. I've seen so many beautiful versions of this pattern, of this dress in particular. So I'm really looking forward to trialing it. Hopefully nailing the fit, and then I've got some really beautiful drapey fabrics in my stash that would work beautifully for this dress pattern, so I'm excited about that pattern. So the next thing I wanted to share with you was a YouTube vlogger, and it's the lovely Holly. She's over on Instagram, but she's also got a YouTube channel, and her YouTube channel and Instagram pages both have the same name, and it is Sewing in Scottish. So I link them both down below. She's got 3 videos over on her channel at the moment, which are unboxing videos. I think her latest one is an unboxing of the luxury box, which is the Sew Haley James sewing subscription boxes. I don't get the luxury boxes, so I really enjoy having a little peep into the luxury boxes. I just get the classic box. So do go and give her a little follow. She's still relatively new. She's only got a couple of videos on her channel, but I'm sure there'll be lots more videos coming soon. And then also do head over and give her a follow over on Instagram as well. And then the next thing I wanted to talk about was a couple of businesses. The first one, the lovely Blossom Sandwich shared this over on her Instagram stories because of the name of the shop. So it's a shop over on Etsy. I think they've got a website in development at the moment, but they sell sewing labels. And the reason that the shop was shared was because of the name, and they're called the Lemon Patch. They've got some absolutely beautiful labels, and I'm very tempted to go and buy some. I really love the look of them. They've got some really beautiful sewing labels over on their Etsy shop, and there's one in particular, really lovely colourful labels, but one in particular that caught my eye that says unique on it, and I just think that is the perfect label for finishing off our garments, and because they're all unique to ourselves dependent on the style that we've gone for, the fabric that we've used, and also our sewing style. So I'm definitely going to be placing an order with them. So they're called the Lemon Patch. I'll link them down below so you can go and check them out. And then the other shop, I have actually got buttons from this shop, and they are really keen to try and hit 1,000 followers over on Instagram. And they're called Buffin's Vintage Buttons. They've got some absolutely beautiful vintage couture buttons, and I've got some of them in my stash. They're really pretty. So please do go and give them a little follow over on Instagram if you haven't already. I'll put in some pictures now of some of the beautiful buttons that they've got. Really, really friendly business as well. So I definitely recommend them if you're looking for buttons to finish your garments. And then the sewing challenges. Normally I talk about sewing challenges. I've talked about both of these sewing challenges, but I will link them down below because I've talked about them in this vlog as well. The first one is the Sewing Bee Style 22 challenge, which is running alongside the Great British Sewing Bee series for this year. I'll link all the information down below, but I've been taking part and I've managed to enter for weeks 1, 2 and 3, and then I'm also going to be entering my jacket that I've nearly finished for week 4. I'm really excited about the upcoming show that's coming out on Wednesday, which is all to do with children's wear, because I've got a couple of makes planned that I'm going to talk about at the end of this video for Ruby and Lola as well, so I'll be able to enter those into that week. It's a really fun challenge. You don't have to enter each week alongside the Sewing Bee episodes, and you have much longer to complete the challenges. It doesn't have to be done within that week of the show being published for that weekly theme. So I'll link down below so you can go and check that out, but I've mentioned it in lots of my videos before. And then the other challenge is the So Fruity 22 challenge, where we're encouraged to make something using fruity fabric. So it could be printed, or we could use a pattern that's got a fruity name, or we could create a garment that's inspired by some fruit. So it might be a whole yellow outfit inspired by lemons or bananas or whatever. You can have lots and lots of fun around the fruity theme, and then we're encouraged to share our fruity themed makes throughout the month of June, and there are lots of amazing prizes as well. So I'll link information to that challenge down below for you. And then I always like to finish my videos with sewing plans. So I am going to be using the rest of the patchwork squares to patchwork them together to create either a skirt or a dress. It depends on how many pieces I end up with. So I'm looking forward to using all of these and getting them sewn up and patchworked together. It's been really enjoyable using my scraps. I talked about this last week, but I've got my Bella Loves floor dress cut out in this beautiful sunflower cotton, I think it's like a cotton lawn fabric, and I'm really excited about getting that sewn up, especially it's half term. I've got one more week of school and then it's half term, so I'm really hoping to get some time where I can get that sewn up, and then fingers crossed we get lots of lovely sunny weather so I can wear all of my floor dresses. I mentioned that I'm going to be doing some sewing for my children, so I'm going to be making them some dressing gowns because they've had a growth spurt and their current dressing gowns are too small. So I'm going to be using the named larger unisex dressing gown pattern. Now it doesn't call for a stretch fabric, but I am going to be using a cotton jersey fabric, this beautiful big cat themed cotton jersey fabric, and I'm going to be using it to sew up a dressing gown for Lola. So in terms of fabric suggestions, they recommend light or medium weight non-stretch fabric like a natural linen, terry cloth or honeycomb fabric, but I have actually sewn up a cotton jersey dressing gown for my mum before using this pattern and it worked absolutely fine. It still fit really nicely and it was super duper comfortable, so I'm going to be using this fabric to sew up the larger dressing gown for Lola. And then Ruby's going through my fabric stash at the moment, so once she's chosen the fabric that she wants me to use, I'll get that cut out and sewn up for her as well. And then I'm just thinking ahead to half term. So all of these plans that I'm talking about, I don't think I'll get done this week, but I might start cutting them out. I've got a couple of fabrics that I got from Abakhan fabrics that might still be in stock. So if they are, I'll link them down below. I got given these as part of my Abakhan ambassador role with them. So this one is a gorgeous floral orange fabric, and this is exactly the same print, but it's in like purples and pinks. And both of them are going to get turned into my favourite summer dress, which is the Deer and Doe Maya Sotis dress. And I'm going to sew up this version. I'm not going to do the ruffles on the sleeve, but I am going to do the ruffle on the hem, but I'm going to do the longer length skirt. So I've got 2 of those planned using these gorgeous fabrics. And then I've found some gingham in my fabric. Absolutely love gingham. I've got so many pieces of gingham in my stash. But I'm going to use this sort of duck egg blue, would you say it's duck egg blue or sage green gingham to sew up a saguaro set, which is the Friday Pattern Company 2-piece sort of set where you've got this lovely cropped top and then these trousers. So I'm going to use this fabric to sew that up as well. And then I'm also going to be trying a hack of this pattern. So next time I film my Sunday sewing catch-ups, hopefully I'll be able to tell you all about the hack if it works out. I still need to work a few things out as to whether my plan, what's in my head, could actually work. We'll see. So that was everything I wanted to share with you today as part of my Sunday sewing catch-up. Just to say, next weekend I won't be bringing out a video because we're going away. We're going to a festival that we go to every year, which I'm really excited about. It's like a family festival where there's lots of lovely outdoorsy things and lots of music and drama and that sort of thing. We absolutely love going, so I'm really looking forward to that, and hopefully the weather stays nice and dry because we're camping. Always really fun. We switch off completely. There's no internet, Wi-Fi or anything like that, and it's like a really lovely digital detox. So I'm really excited about that. So yeah, I won't be bringing out a video next week, but I'll be back the following week with my Sunday sewing catch up. I've got a couple of videos filmed for the Wednesdays, so there will be a video on Wednesday that will be coming out. So thank you as always for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, it'd be really great if you could hit that subscribe button. You get notified when I bring out my next video. Thank you as always. Take care, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.